Suspended chords are the sound of sophistication. Suspended chords are the sound of the 60s and the early 70s. Suspended chords are the sound of more than a few Burt Bacharach and Ben Folds songs. Most people could probably recognize a suspended chord upon hearing it, so something like this. But they might not know what it's called or how it works. Well, in today's lesson, we're going to discuss just that. This is how pop music works. The quickest way to make a suspended chord is by finding a major triad, so say C major here, and then finding the ninth, which is going to be the same as the second, so there we go. And then we place the ninth in the bass, or usually the left hand if we're doing piano voicing. We play them together. And there we go. Instant suspended chord, instant vibes. This chord is made up of a root, which we're going to call the D and the bass the root here, so there we go. The minor seventh, the ninth, and the 11th. So root, 7th, 9th, and 11th. This works well as a substitution for the dominant or 5 chord in a key because the 7th resolves down to the 3rd as expected. The 9th resolves to the 5th. And the 11th shares the same note with the root of the tonic. And then the bass goes from 5 to whatever one would be, in this case G. So let's put it together. We have suspended 5 and then 1. I like to call this a suspended 11th chord. The suspended 11 chord has strong associations with 60s pop music, in part because it was favored by Burt Bacharach in some of his biggest hits. For example, we hear it in the A section of Alfie, alternating with the tonic chord in a position that might otherwise be occupied by the 4 chord, but with a stronger pull back to the tonic. So here we have just the chords, so 1, and then the suspended 5, back to 1, and with the melody over it we have, what's it all about, Alfie, is it just for a moment that we... This is one of the strengths of suspended chords. In the middle of a phrase, they can act as a soft dominant that draws the listener back to the tonic, but without the drop in momentum that we get from a standard dominant cadence. So here we have just the 1 and the 5, so if we were to go... doesn't quite have the same sound. We could substitute the 4 in there, so we could do... But again, not quite the same pull back to 1, which is why I think the best version is what Bacharach did, the 1 to the suspended 5 and back to 1 again, or 1 major 7 technically. One major 7, 1 6. It's beautiful. Suspended chords can also function as an excellent pause, or suspension even, at the end of a section, as Burt Bacharach demonstrates several times during Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. At the end of each verse, we get this. The suspended 5 passing through the standard 5 triad on the last beat, going to 1. Prior to that, we have the minor 2 chord, so we're actually going from 2 to suspended 5 to 1. And here in the bridge, we hear the same idea extended over a couple of bars and alternating with the 5 chord to create even more of that gentle but effective pull back to the tonic chord for the beginning of the final verse. We can hear something similar when a suspended tonic chord is placed first in a 2-chord sequence before the standard tonic triad. In Marc Cohn's Walking in Memphis, the bridge alternates between a C suspended 11th chord, the tonic suspended chord, and a C major triad, the tonic chord. This creates a sense of tension and release that rewards each return back to the major triad, without the same kind of pull or dissonance that we would get from hearing a dominant 7/5 chord in the same position. So instead of doesn't really have the same sound. But with this, using that suspended 11th chord, we get much nicer. In a song like Walkin' in Memphis that's built around constant motion in the piano and the chord progression, those long suspended chords in the bridge really give the song contrast and a chance to breathe. So we go from to very nice, great contrast from the verse and chorus. That's the end of our lesson on suspended 11 chords. In part 2, we'll talk about suspended 13th chords, suspended 9th chords, and we'll talk about the places where you might hear those and how they're used. Take care of yourselves, take care of someone else, and have a good day.